Let's start with It's in the Water, a 1997 satire about how gay is catching because it's in the water. It follows a yet-to-be-realised lesbian and a former gay man who both go on their journey to discover who they really are, while the rest of their conservative, Bible Belt town freak out about it. Alex reconnects with a high school friend, Grace, and discovers that this friend's marriage broke down because of a lesbian love affair, and this sends her down something of a rabbit hole, while a man named Mark meets a man at an ex-gay ministry and falls for him. I have seen this, but it was quite some time ago and I don't remember much other than the film was passable, and that it has a mature sapphic couple in there. Raven's Touch is a film you are probably more familiar with if you have seen other films by Soul Kiss Films like Elena Undone, which I'll touch on later in this video. This one I haven't seen, mostly because the trailer just didn't convince me it was any good and the reviews aren't great. It's about a woman, Raven, who blames herself for a tragic accident. In an attempt to deal with her grief, she moves out to her family cabin. As she tries to deal with the grief, she meets Kate, who is camping with her kids, and from there a connection develops. You'll possibly recognize both leads, Thunderbird Dinwiddie, who was in Elena Undone, and Drea Weber, who was also in our next film, The Gymnast. This film is about a woman called Jane whose career as a gymnast was dashed by an injury and since has been in a loveless marriage and surviving in a job she doesn't like. When she meets Serena, a closeted lesbian, she is given the opportunity to audition for a Las Vegas show, and as the two women work together, an electrifying connection develops between them. I've heard good things about this film, that it has convincing chemistry, good acting, and certainly the acrobatic elements is out of the ordinary. It also had a follow-up movie in 2020 called The Aerialist from the same writer-director Ned VPN, which has more tepid reviews. But if you enjoyed The Gymnast, you may wish to check in on Jane some 14 years later and see how she is doing, along with some, I am to understand, impressive aerial gymnastics. Ned VPN and Drea Weber also collaborated on another film called A Marine Story in 2010 about ex-Marine Alexandra, who was discharged from service for misconduct. And let me just spoil the misconduct for you because it's the reason why this movie is on this list. She had relations with a woman. Upon returning to her conservative hometown following a tour in Iraq, she is charged with helping prepare a young woman for boot camp who must either face jail time or enlist in the military. It's not an age gap love story, but does have a mature sapphic lady in the lead role, and I don't remember disliking the film. Hannah Free is the story of a lifelong relationship between two childhood friends, Hannah and Rachel. With a world that wouldn't accept Hannah's more mask appearance, she found herself through the years leaving their hometown, but always coming back because that's where Rachel was. The movie moves back and forth in time, revealing their passionate relationship in spite of all the obstacles that existed to keep them apart. I've seen this one, but it has been so long I couldn't say much about it. I didn't dislike it, but I guess the fact I don't remember must indicate it doesn't stand out in any particular way either. Those of you who have seen it, what did you all think? Huit Femmes, also known as Eight Women in English, is a French 2002 film where 8 women are suspects when a man is killed in a remote mansion in the 1950s. All of them have a motive and a secret, and since I haven't seen it, I'm guessing one of the secrets is that one of these ladies is sapphic. It's a musical murder mystery which sounds like a laugh. From my peruse of the internet, this seems to be a well-loved film full of camp and pizzazz, and at least one mature sapphic lady in it. Perry Mason is a TV series that lasted 2 seasons about a defense attorney in 1930s LA. Della is a colleague and she is also a sapphic who begins a romance with Anita in season 2. But the times being what they are, it has to be kept hidden, especially as she is in the middle of a high-profile court case. I saw a few clips of this pairing and I've linked it in the description, and I have to say there is a lovely witty repartee going on between the ladies that I found very watchable. If their storyline is anything to judge by, the whole show might be worth a watch. Die Konkurrentin is a 1997 made-for-TV movie about a woman, Katharina, who has a new work assistant, Marin, who was placed there to destroy her career. Plot twist. Instead, they fall in love. Reviews suggest it's a relatively unsurprising, predictable film, but nonetheless solid and features 2 mature sapphic ladies in there. There is a very low-quality version of the film with subtitles hanging around on YouTube that I have linked, and if you can understand German, I have linked a better playlist too. Keeping it German, Hotel Mondial is a German TV show where a new boss, Eva, has arrived to manage the hotel, causing disruption to the staff. Uli, who takes great pride in her food, finds herself butting heads with Eva multiple times, but perhaps lurking underneath the antagonism is an attraction when a confrontation results in an unexpected kiss. I have linked to a playlist for the pair. It doesn't have subs, however, you can put on the auto-generated ones and then auto-translate that into English. It's not the best viewing experience, but it's good enough so that you'll be able to follow the story. Let me mention a few other films and TV shows with mature women in them that I've already covered in other videos briefly. If you're wanting some German soaps to keep you entertained, Carla was a long-running character for the show Verbotene Liebe that had multiple relationships with women, starting with Hannah, which didn't end well, Suzanne, and finally Stella. I have a full playlist for her in the description. Gute Zeiten, Schlechte Zeiten has a sapphic lady Annie who has various romances, a couple of which were with older women, Catherine and Rosa. La Religieuse, which I heard is a good film, but because of the nature of the lesbian element, I'll only mention briefly. It's about a young woman who is abandoned by her family at a convent, and she goes on to suffer much abuse and humiliation. When she is transferred to another convent, the Mother Superior takes an inappropriate interest in her, and from what I could tell, the sapphic element is not reciprocal and includes a worrying power dynamic, so just a brief mention of it here. Disobedience, which looks at two childhood friends who reconnect and rekindle their romance when Ronit comes back home for her father's funeral. Em Familia, a Brazilian telenovela, which features the love story between Clara, a housewife, and the young successful photographer Marina. Elena Undone is based on a true story of a pastor's wife who falls for a writer when their paths cross a couple of times and they can't keep away from each other. In Dead Ringers, we have the Mantle twins, one of whom, or both of whom, are sapphic ladies trying to make birthing a better experience for mothers in this delightfully twisted tale. Dead to Me, where two women find themselves bonding over the death of a husband, only one of them is hiding a secret about this death. She also happens to be a sapphic, and we get to see her having a wee fling in season 2. Fire is a film from the mid-90s, which remains one of my all-time favorites, about two wives married to brothers who find in each other a profound love. Kevin Can F Himself is a satire about the sitcom wife Alison who becomes fast friends with her next-door neighbour as her life unravels. This neighbour, Patty, is a sapphic, definitely sporting an unspoken crush for Alison, but also starts a relationship with a cop who is investigating illegal activity that could lead back to both of them. Mädchen in Uniform, the first sapphic film ever in 1931, is about a young girl at boarding school who develops a crush on her teacher. There is also a 1958 version, which is my personal fave. Olivia is set in boarding school where a young girl develops a crush on her teacher who has a sapphic-coded rivalry with a fellow teacher. And that's it for this video, with more to come. I'd like to thank my Patreons whose support I deeply appreciate, in particular Jeff Marshall and Pamela Stewart. We're getting to the end of season 1 of my Xena video podcast over there, and I recently put up a video about the absolute queerness of everything, everywhere, all at once, so consider joining if you'd like bonus content and you'd like to support this channel. Until next time, lady lovers.